I thought my dog was just chasing garden snakes, until I saw him bow into one under the full moon at start like any other evening. Max whining by the back door, eager to go out. But this time, I didn't just let him out. I grabbed a flashlight, slipped on my boots, and followed him. Something in my gut told me it was time I saw what he did out there at night. He moved with purpose, not like a dog sniffing randomly, but like he had a destination. Through the trees, we weaved deeper into forest than I'd ever dared to go. Max didn't once look back. The night was silent except for the crunch of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. Then, suddenly, Max froze. I ducked behind a tree and watched. Before us was a clearing, eerily lit by the full moon hanging low like an eye in the sky. And at the center of that clearing, coiled tightly, was a black snake as thick as my forearm. Max approached it slowly. I held my breath, expecting him to bark, snap, anything, but instead, he lowered his head and body to the ground until his chin touched the dirt. He lay completely still, like he was submitting or worshiping. The snake lifted its head, not to strike, but to observe. Then it began to circle Max, its body sliding smoothly over the dead leaves. It coiled once around his back legs, then slithered up near his neck. Still, Max didn't move. I wanted to run out and yell, throw something, anything to stop this bizarre interaction. But I couldn't move. My feet felt like they were rooted to the ground. My chest was tight, and my ears rang with silence. I couldn't tell whether I was scared for Max or scared of him. After a few minutes, the snake slithered back to the center of the clearing and stopped. Max stood, shook himself once, and trotted back past me like nothing had happened. But I didn't follow him right away. I stayed behind, looking at that snake, which never took its eyes off me. And for a split second, just one, I thought I saw it nod. When I finally made it home, Max was already asleep by the fireplace. But from that night forward, I understood one thing. Max wasn't chasing snakes. He was meeting them. And whatever was going on in those woods, it was part of something older, something ritualistic the morning after the ritual in the woods. I couldn't shake the image of Max lying still as that serpent coiled around him. I needed answers. My first stop was a vet, but after a full physical exam, Max was declared healthy, heart strong, reflexes normal. Just a quirky dog, they said. But quirky dogs don't bow to snakes. Driven by desperation, I contacted Dr. Ellery Shaw, a veterinary neurologist known for her unconventional research. After hearing my story and watching the footage I'd secretly recorded, she was silent for a long time. Then she told me about something called genetic memory. It's a controversial idea, she warned, but there's growing evidence that animals inherit more than just physical traits, behaviors, fears, even instincts. Some may be passed down through generations like scars on the soul. She mentioned how birds migrate without being taught, how some puppies fear water despite never encountering it. But Max's behavior wasn't fear, it was reverence. I dug deeper. There were historical whispers, old tribal legends from various cultures, of dogs and snakes coexisting in rituals. Some ancient societies even worshiped serpents, believing them to be messengers or guardians. Could Max be carrying echoes of a bloodline that once stood side by side with these creatures? Had something primal awakened in him? Dr. Shaw suggested a genome sequencing test. When the results came back, they revealed something unexpected. Max's ancestry traced back to an obscure breed of Central Asian mountain dog, once believed to have been trained to guard sacred temples, many of which revered serpent deities. Was this obsession a dormant memory activated by proximity to the right environment, this forest, that snake? Or had Max been drawn there by something even more mysterious? Science offered only partial answers. There was no paper, no textbook that could explain why Max sat in that clearing like he understood his place in a forgotten ritual. Theories helped. They gave structure to madness. But in my gut, I knew what I saw that night wasn't just biology. It was something older than genes. Something etched not just in blood, but in belief 3 nights after Max's ritual in the clearing, he vanished. I waited by the door until sunrise, calling his name, whistling, even driving around the edge of the woods with my high beams sweeping through trees. But he was gone. The silence in the house was suffocating. like the walls themselves were holding their breath. On the fourth morning, I found him. He stood just beyond the tree line, still as a statue, staring directly at me. His fur was matted with dirt, and his eyes, those warm, familiar eyes, had dulled into something else, something distant, alien. When I called his name, he didn't run. He simply turned and walked toward me, slowly, as if unsure whether I was someone he recognized. That's when I noticed a mark. Around his neck, half hidden beneath fur, was a circular scar, thin, raw, almost burned into his skin. It spiraled inward like a symbol or a brand. I knelt, gently parted his fur, trying not to shake. The shape was unnatural, too precise to be accidental. And as I touched it, Max growled. He'd never growled at me before. From that day on, he was different. Not aggressive, not overtly hostile, but wrong. He stopped sleeping in his bed and began spending nights staring out the back door. He wouldn't respond to his name, didn't wag his tail, and refused food unless it was raw. Sometimes I'd find him sitting in the garden at midnight, unmoving, gazing up at the sky. Then the snakes came. It started with one or two near the fence, then a dozen in the yard. Silent, unbothered by my presence, they slithered freely, as if they knew they were welcome. Max would walk among them, not as predator or prey, but as kin. I called Dr. Shaw. She listened, then said something I'll never forget. You need to stop looking at this as a dog problem. This is a gateway problem. Max wasn't obsessed with snakes anymore. He had become part of something, part of them. Or maybe something had come through him, using his bloodline like a key to open a door no one meant to unlock. Now every night, Max waits at the edge of the woods. And every night, the snakes wait with him. Some instincts run deeper than obedience, deeper than training, even deeper than love. When we tamper with what lies dormant in nature, we may awaken forces we cannot understand. And some doors, once opened, can never be closed.